It's a delight to welcome you to the #1 program that tells you all that is happening in the maritime sector, courtesy Nimasa. The program is Nimasa This Week, and my name is Cordelia Obe. How are you? Well, the world is generally getting used to the social, or should we say physical, distancing idea, all in a bid to fight or, reduce the number of infections happening as concerning COVID-19. It's not that easy, but I'm very sure, as I said last week, together we can fight this fight. And Nimasa is one of those agencies doing a lot to assist the federal government in this huge fight. Some donations were made recently to the federal government's task force in charge of COVID-19. I'll tell you a bit about that. And also I'll tell you about a visit by the Nigerian Navy to the headquarters of Nimasa here in Lagos. What was it all about? You'll find out. Once again, welcome. This is Nimasa This Week.
There is no white, there is no black, there is no poor, there is no rich. Corona pandemic is real. Make sure you wash your hand, make sure you stay at home, and maintain hygienic lifestyle. Nigerians should support the federal government in a bid to curb this menace. Together we win this pandemic. Stay safe.
This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Nimasa. Nimasa, changing the tide in your favor.
The federal government of Nigeria actually requires the support of all Nigerians to fight this fight against COVID-19, be they in the corporate sector or be they just individuals. This assertion was made recently by the Secretary to the Federal Government of Nigeria, Mr. Boss Mustafa. He said this when he played host to volunteer personnel from Nimasa who had come to make a special donation to the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. The team from Nimasa was led by the Abuja Office Coordinator, Mr. Zelani Atta. Let's see a bit from this visit.
We decided to give these donations to all our landlords wherever we operate. Now, we look at the 6 geopolitical zones, and then we have Abuja as the federal capital, which is the second largest number with this coronavirus.
Just as the Nimasa DG, Dr. Bashir Jamo, said that the agency's donations and commitments will get to other states aside of Lagos, the Nimasa Abuja Zonal Coordinator, Mr. Zailani Atta, led the agency's team who met with the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 to make the presentations. The committee's chairman and secretary to the government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, received the donations from Nimasa. The secretary to the government of the Federation expressed appreciation of the PTF on COVID-19 and described the initiative as noble and laudable, and also called on other well-meaning Nigerians and organizations to support government's initiative in order to end the spread so that Nigerians can return to their normal lives. Nimasa volunteered an ambulance, 2 buses, and personnel, while ventilators, oxygen concentrators, PPE test kits, hand sanitizers, and 30 million naira were donated to the PTF on COVID-19. Similarly, the agency extended the gesture to Anambra State government by donating some medical materials, all with the intent of curbing the spread of the virus and also treat those who are already infected. The secretary to the Anambra State government, Professor Solo Chukwulobelu, who received the materials on behalf of the state government, commended the management of Nimasa and pledged that the materials will be well utilized.
Introducing the new face of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Nimasa. We are charting the direction for our maritime and regulating the industry for a better, bigger, and more economically stable Nigeria. Evolved to serve you better. We are Nimasa. New face, rejuvenated service. Nimasa, changing the tides in your favor.
The economies of the world have been greatly affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. The maritime sector is not at all left out. A lot of losses have been experienced so far. Even here in Nigeria, the shipping sector has its own challenges, but all hands are on deck to make sure the losses are not that much. But then, the goal must still remain safe and secured waters to work with and to work on. This formed part of the things talked about when a team came from the Western Naval Command of the Navy to have a session with the management of Nimasa. A major thing that came out from that session was the fact that sharing of information must definitely improve.
Since the Memorandum of Understanding between the Nigerian Navy and Nimasa, both organs of government have worked closely to enhance safety and security on Nigerian waterways. So when the Flag Officer commanding Western Naval Command Rear Admiral Oladile Daji led the Navy hydrographer Rear Admiral Chukwuemeka Okafor and Commander NNS Beechcroft Commodore Shetima, amongst others, to meet with Nimasa management, Nimasa DG Dr. Bashir Jamo made it clear that it was a homecoming for them.
To us in the agency, it is a homecoming for us to have the detachment of Nigerian Navy, especially the Western Naval Command, because they are our immediate neighbors. When we have problem here, we don't have to rush to Abuja. We can quickly get in touch with the commandant and say this is what we want.
Dr. Jamo thus informed the visiting naval team that the agency is working for a regime of improved information sharing with the Nigerian Navy as arrangements to integrate the Command, Control, Computer Communication and Information Center, otherwise known as the C4I Center of the Deep Blue Project, along with the Falcon Eye of the Nigerian Navy, are ongoing.
After taking over, I tried to study the possibility of the integration of Falcon Eye and the C4I so that we can have real-time, on-time informations in terms of intelligence gathering and what we have to do to ensure we have a proper and adequate control of our own waterways. This is an area that we have to take it up with the authorities concerned, and we quickly try to integrate the two systems and make sure that we have seamless operations of the two systems.
He also disclosed that the Global Maritime Distress and Safety System GMDSS facility in Takwa Bay will become functional very soon, and the facility will also enhance intelligence gathering and information sharing with the Nigerian Navy.
I am happy to announce that we have a work plan of ensuring our global maritime distress system is in place or working within the next 3 months. So far, we have completed the zonal maritime GMDSS center at Kirikiri. The Takwa Bay, we are now programming it, which we hope immediately after the issues of stay at home that's linked with COVID-19, we will be able to complete the project of Takwa Bay. Oron is also coming up. We purchased the equipment that are in UK, and shortly after this issues is being sorted out, we will shift those equipment and make sure that we install them accordingly.
On his part, the FOC Western Naval Command Rear Admiral Daji spoke after the meeting, which he described as very fruitful.
We had wide-ranging discussions, especially based on ongoing collaboration between the Nigerian Navy as well as the Western Naval Command. Already, the feasibility of integration of the surveillance platforms that Nimasa and the Navy has is very possible. I mean, the technological know-how to integrate both systems are now available, and that is a very good step forward in emplacing the necessary platforms to share information between the two agencies. I'm very glad to state that the new DG has a very good grasp of the issues, and it was very, very fruitful.
The Nimasa team at the event, which had all the executive directors in attendance, also had the commander, Maritime Guard Command, Commodore Ibok, and other naval personnel attached to Nimasa. This is an announcement from the Office of the Registrar of Ships. As we continue to hope for the best in these trying times, when the whole world is battling with COVID-19, we pledge to continue to play our roles even as we adhere to directives from constituted authorities. To minimize physical contacts, please consider the following alternative channels for your inquiries and follow-up action. Email registrarofships@nimasa.gov.ng. Telephone WhatsApp 0702 513 7601, Monday to Thursday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., Friday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Partnerships are essential in tackling the global issue of marine plastic litter. The International Maritime Organization, IMO, and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, have formally signed an agreement to move forward and jointly implement the Glow Litter Partnerships project, initially launched in December 2019, with funding from Norway to prevent and reduce marine plastic litter from shipping and fisheries. The Glow Litter project will help developing countries to identify opportunities to prevent and reduce marine litter, including plastic litter, from within the maritime transport and fisheries sectors, and to decrease the use of plastics in these industries. It will help to achieve one of the specific targets in the Global Sustainable Development Goal (SDG) to prevent and significantly reduce marine pollution of all kinds, in particular from land-based activities, including marine debris and nutrient pollution, by 2025. The agreement was signed on 14 April 2020 by Dr. Jose Mateical, Chief of the Department of Partnerships and Projects, IMO, and Roberto Ridolfi, Assistant Director General of FAO. Countries are invited to submit their expressions of interest to be part of the project by 30 April.
The coronavirus pandemic is real. Nimasa wants us to stay safe so we can stay alive. Observe social distancing, avoid crowded areas, wash your hands regularly with soap or use alcohol-based hand sanitizers. And most importantly, stay at home. Together, we shall win the war against this coronavirus. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Nimasa.
Now, there are new policies in Nimasa, and to ensure that those policies are well implemented, Nimasa had a session with some stakeholders, this time port health officers, and the major issue discussed was how to ensure that seafarers did what they need to do this period.
We need to check the level of compliance, particularly as it affects the current ravaging pandemic, which is the COVID-19 pandemic. And the agency felt the need to discuss this with the port health services, because basically they are the first to make contact with any vessels that come into the country. So there was a need for us to be sure and see what level of compliance they have with that, to see how our vessels are doing and how well we can have a collaboration with the port health services to ensure that real-time information and data sharing gets to us with regards to a lot of things happening within the sector at this particular time.
The first requirement that needs to be adhered to is the federal government directive on COVID-19 concerning ships and seamen in port. And that reference was made specifically to the NCDC, Nigerian Center for Disease Control, as well as the port health.
I appreciate it very well, because when you bring two heads together, you get more experience. We are now merging health and safety together to work out a very good avenue for all people that are accessing port, Apapa Port. And those workers that interfere with any ship that come and dock in our berths.
We'll be bringing you a comprehensive report on that visit next time. But right now, let's talk about the IMO and shipping. The IMO is right now worried that, shipping of critical items may become disrupted during this period of COVID-19, the pandemic. And what is IMO saying? There was a joint statement. What did they say in this joint statement? Please find out.
Trade by sea must continue to flow to maintain the continued provision of essential goods, including vital medical supplies during the unprecedented global situation arising from the COVID-19 pandemic. This was the message of a joint statement from the heads of the International Maritime Organization IMO and the World Customs Organization WCO issued last week. IMO Secretary General Kitak Lim and WCO Secretary General Dr. Kunio Mukuria strongly urged customs administrations and port state authorities, together with all concerned agencies, to establish a coordinated and proactive approach to maintaining the integrity of the global supply chain so that the flow of vital goods by sea is not unnecessarily disrupted. The two organizations emphasized the utmost importance of communication, coordination, and cooperation at both national and local levels between ships, port facilities, customs administrations, and other competent authorities. Customs and port administrations are urged to work together to resolve disruptions to the global supply chain to support the health and well-being of all people. The joint statement also referred to recommendations and guidance already issued by the two organizations. In particular, IMO has distributed a series of recommendations for governments and relevant national authorities proposed by a broad section of global industry associations representing the maritime transportation sector, including a specific call for governments to designate professional seafarers and marine personnel, regardless of their nationality, as key workers providing an essential service.
There is no white, there is no black, there is no poor, there is no rich. Corona pandemic is real.
Ensure that social distancing is maintained. Sanitize your hand where you cannot find water, but where you have water, please always, within every 30 minutes, ensure that you wash your hands for at least 20 seconds.
The issue there is that you don't even know who has it. Someone could be a carrier and not even know that they are carrying it if they don't exhibit the symptoms.
For those in rural area or in the village who still up to now have not believed,
I must tell you that COVID-19 is real. It is not a white man disease, it is for everybody.
It is no respecter of persons, so I would advise everybody to be cautious.
So it's very important that we stay at home.
Mixing up with people and attending social gathering, people to anyone you can avoid should be avoided.
So the best thing is to play safe.
The onus lies on us all to do the right thing.
Do exercises where you have to be.
Corona pandemic is real. Stay safe.
This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Nimasa.
Seafarers and port workers have special duties to perform at the ports. Now, it's important to know that the IMO wants this set of people to have special status awarded to them this period. Because as I said, their rules are very, very important. If you want to doubt me, why don't you watch this clip? It's an incident that happened at Milano Bridge. This ship accident happened in Busan, South Korea this month. An accident due to human error. It seemed the pilot did not have a tugboat to pull the ship away from the dock. The approach speed was high. All that could go wrong went wrong.
Introducing the new face of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Nimasa. We are charting the direction for a maritime and regulating the industry for a better, bigger, and more economically stable Nigeria. Evolved to serve you better. We are Nimasa. New face, rejuvenated service. Nimasa, changing the tides in your favor.
The coronavirus pandemic is real. The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Nimasa, wants you to stay safe. Observe social distancing by avoiding crowded areas. Cough or sneeze into a curved elbow or into a tissue, which should be disposed of immediately. Wash your hands regularly with soap or use hand sanitizers. And most importantly, stay at home and follow health and safety advice coming from the NCDC and the WHO. Together, we will win the war against the coronavirus. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Nimasa. Nimasa, changing the tide in your favor.
So you see, seafarers, port workers, they are very, very important when we're talking shipping. Well, I have to go. Thank you very much for being a part of the program today. Well, before I leave you, let's quickly talk a bit about protecting ourselves this period. Remember to wash your hands regularly, at least 20 seconds, with soap and water. If you do not have that available, use your hand sanitizer that contains 65+% alcohol and disinfect surfaces that you touch regularly. If you must sneeze, do this. Achoo! Avoid doing that on your palms because you may just be spreading it more. Don't touch your face, eyes, nose, mouth. Avoid that. I'll leave you, but remind you again, social distancing, very essential. Or we'll say physical distancing. Anyway, just give some space. Take care of yourselves, my friend. Stay safe. I'm Cordelia Obey. Bye-bye.